Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be giving my NBA DraftKings picks for Monday, November 27th. We got an 8-game slate on this Monday. Before we get started looking at today's Monday slate, I always say this, guys, these are always my early looks at this slate. These are sort of foundation plays. Definitely nothing set in stone. I do record my NBA videos the night before, and especially on today's slate, we have a ton of guys who are questionable that we don't really have news on. A lot of stud players like Ben Simmons, Curry, Draymond, KD, Oladipo, a lot of these guys are questionable. Obviously, if these guys get ruled out, that's going to open up a ton of value. I'm expecting all the Warriors guys to play. I'm expecting Ben Simmons to play. The only guy that I think actually could miss today's game is Oladipo. But I'm expecting the other guys to play, so I'm taking this slate as they are playing. But like I said, I'm recording this the night before. Things will change. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. As the day goes on, I'll talk more about the slate, just try and give out some more plays as the day goes on if we get injury news. And if guys get ruled out that open up value, be sure to touch on them on Twitter. And another thing, guys, if you do play NFL DFS, if you played NFL DFS on Sunday, I'm recording this video Sunday night. On Monday afternoon, I will be making an NFL recap video where I'll recap the slate, talk about my cash game lineup, talk about the guys I chose. I will also be doing a first looks at the Week 13 NFL slate, so make sure you guys check that video out. If you're watching this video on Sunday night, be sure to check that out on Monday. If you're watching this on Monday, sometime in the afternoon, the video might already be up. So make sure you check both of those videos out. We'll be uploading them sometime on Monday. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get started looking at today's 8-game slate. Alright, so up top at point guard today, we got James Harden up top here. He's 11,800, playing at home against the Nets. Obviously, Harden is a great play today. I know a ton of people probably won't roster Harden today because of the price tag and because of the potential for a blowout. But Harden's getting to go up against the Nets. The Nets really can't defend anybody. They play at a very fast pace. Even though this game has a ton of blowout potential, it's going to be very high scoring. These two teams play at a very fast pace. Me personally, as of now, won't be paying up for Harden because I don't see enough value. But if enough value opens up and we can fit in Harden, I think you play him. Don't worry about the blowout. Even though Harden's expensive, he could just totally go off in this spot. So if we get enough value, we can pay up for Harden. Definitely think we're gonna want to do that. But under Harden, we got Ben Simmons going up against Cleveland. Like I said earlier, I'm recording this night before. Ben Simmons currently questionable, but I am expecting him to play. Even if he does play, don't think I'm going to be on Ben Simmons here, especially not at 10K. That's a very high price tag. I definitely think you can roster Simmons in tournaments. Probably going to be low owned. We know he has upside. But at 10K, I think there are guys that are a little bit cheaper that I'd just rather have. Especially for cash games, I think there are some guys in this mid-tier that I can reasonably project for 5 to 6x, where I don't know if I can reasonably project that for Ben Simmons. So I'm not going to be paying up for him. Just don't think I'm going to be paying up for point guard in general. Even for guys like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, just don't think I'm going to be on these guys. I think you could pay up for Kyrie Irving here, playing at home against Detroit. Detroit does struggle against point guards. Irving's been playing really well lately. Reggie Jackson's not a good defender. So this is a good matchup for Irving, and like I said, he's been playing well. He has upside, so if you want to go to Kyrie, if you were to pay up at point guard today, I think he would be a guy I would target. But in this mid-tier, I think there's some really good options. One guy that really catches my eye, early looked at this slate, is CJ McCollum. Have a lot of interest in him today. At just 6,900, this is a very nice price tag on CJ McCollum. I think he easily pays off this price tag, so I think he's definitely in play for cash games. We know McCollum has upside, especially going up against a bad defensive team like the Knicks. This could be a spot where CJ goes off for like 45, 50, and I can reasonably project him for 35 to 40 in this matchup. So that's why I'm going to be looking to target McCollum in cash at his price tag, and given the matchup as well against the Knicks. Really like CJ McCollum today. Think he's a little bit too cheap. I just went ahead and plugged him in at point guard. I would probably play McCollum at shooting guard though. He is eligible at both positions, but I usually just plug in the guys wherever they go. But definitely think you should be rostering McCollum at shooting guard if you're going to roster him today. They're looking for some other options in that mid-tier. There's also another guy that I really like in that price range. Lou Will, 6,500, going up against the Lakers. Really good matchup today for Lou Williams in a little bit of a revenge game. He did play for the Lakers last year before he was traded to Houston and then before he went to the Clippers. So somewhat of a revenge game for Lou Will. So he's got that narrative going for him today. He's also got that he's playing a ton of minutes. That's one of the reasons I really like him. He's playing a ton of minutes. Patrick Beverley's out. Danilo Gallinari has already been ruled out as well. Lou Will has actually been starting for a few games. He did start in their last game against Sacramento, played 36 minutes, and put up 42 DraftKings points. So I think at 6,500, Lou Will is way too cheap today. He's going to play a ton of minutes, and in a great matchup against the Lakers, an up-and-pace matchup, I think it's a great spot for Lou Will. I think he's a good cash game play. I think he has tournament value as well. You can definitely target him in GPPs. I think he can return 7, possibly 8x on this salary. We've seen Louisville put up monster games this year. So him and CJ McCollum are two guys that I really like at point guard and shooting guard. Both of them are eligible at both positions. I think if you're looking at the mid-tier at those positions, definitely think you want to target those two guys. And then looking for some more options in this mid-tier, one guy I wanted to mention, terrible matchup, but Avery Bradley in a revenge game, going back to Boston to face the Celtics. Like I said, it is a terrible matchup for Bradley. Boston has been one of the best defensive teams this year against shooting guards. And pretty much just all around defensively, Boston's been great this year. But Bradley does have the revenge narrative going for him, so you can target him in some tournaments. Definitely think he's not a guy I'm trying to force into my lineups today, but if I was making like 5 or 10 lineups, putting him in some tournaments, I would probably include Avery Bradley in one of them, just because of the narrative going back to Boston to face his former team, the Celtics. Could get up for this game, could have a nice game, even in a tough matchup. So I think if you want to go to Avery Bradley here in that mid-tier, 5,700 for some GPPs, don't mind him in the revenge game. And then if we're looking for some value at point guard, I talked about TJ McConnell in my video on Saturday. He played really well with Ben Simmons out. Like I said earlier, I expect Ben Simmons to play today, but if Ben Simmons does not play, TJ McConnell, probably another great value play, a guy you're going to want to jam into your lineups if Ben Simmons is out. We saw when Simmons was out on Saturday against Orlando, TJ McConnell played 37 minutes, put up 52 DraftKings points, almost had a triple-double, was 3 rebounds shy of a triple-double. Still got the double-double with 15 points and 13 assists. Just a great game from McConnell. I don't think you want to target him if Simmons plays, but if Simmons is out, McConnell probably becomes one of the best value plays on the slate at 4,700 going up against Cleveland. And I think if you're looking for another guy in that price tier, Dennis Smith Jr., I skipped over him, but I think Dennis Smith Jr., even though he's going up against San Antonio, we know San Antonio is a solid defensive team. I think Dennis Smith is a little bit too cheap today. And when he did play San Antonio earlier this year, Dennis Smith had a really nice game, put up 37 DraftKings points, played 36 minutes, 27 points, 2 assists, 6 rebounds, so solid game from Dennis Smith when he played the Spurs earlier this year. Smith really hasn't been seeing heavy minutes lately, which is concerning. He's only played 22, 27, 27, and 29 minutes in his last 4 games. We saw towards the beginning of the year, Dennis Smith was playing like mid-30s in minutes, so the minutes have kind of dropped a little bit, but at just $5K, that's a really nice price tag on him. I think he easily gets 25 DK points, so I think he's a reasonable cash game play. If you're looking in that price range at point guard or shooting guard for a cash game, point guard or shooting guard, definitely consider Dennis Smith Jr. at $5K. And I think that's pretty much it for point guard value plays, guys. I always talk about J.J. Barea as a cash game play at just $4K. If you want to go to J.J. Barea, I think he's a fine value play in your cash games. Maybe a guy like Jarrett Jack if you need a punt. Jarrett Jack just $3,900, really cheap price tag. Jack has been seeing some pretty nice minutes lately, 33 minutes in his last 2 games, has put up 37 and 29 DraftKings points. Really good matchup against Portland, against Damian Lillard, who's not a good defender. So I think if you need a very cheap point guard play today, if you need to punt this position, definitely consider Jarrett Jack at $3,900. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm seeing for this position. Let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard. All right, so at shooting guard, some options in this mid-tier that we can target. Like I said earlier, a lot of the Golden State guys are questionable. Draymond, KD, Steph, all questionable. Obviously, if some of them miss, if KD misses or if Steph misses, we're definitely going to want to consider Klay Thompson today, even though he's pretty expensive at $7K. Really good matchup against the Kings, bad defensive team. Definitely a team that plays down in pace. There's definitely blowout concern here. But if those guys are going to be out, Klay Thompson's going to see a very high uptick in usage, going to take a ton of shots. So I think if we want to go to him at $7K, I think he does make a lot of sense. If Draymond, KD, any of those guys are out, preferably KD or Steph, if they miss, then we're going to want to consider Klay Thompson. But if Draymond is out, that doesn't really help Klay much. So if KD or Steph miss this game today, we can consider Klay Thompson in that mid-tier shooting guard. And looking for some options in this 5K, 4K range that we can target. Eric Gordon has a really nice price tag on him today at $5,200. Really good matchup against the Nets. But with Chris Paul returning, Eric Gordon has definitely took a hit, has seen his minutes decrease, has definitely seen their fantasy production decrease as well. It is a really good matchup against Brooklyn. It is a great price tag on Eric Gordon as well at just $5,200. But like I said, with Chris Paul coming back, Eric Gordon's kind of took a hit lately, especially with the minutes. And the fantasy production just hasn't been there, so I don't know if we want to target him here. Obviously, if the game blows out, Eric Gordon's probably going to see plenty of blowout run. But I'm not really going to roster a guy just hoping a game blows out, so even though Eric Gordon has a nice price tag, it's a good matchup. I don't think we want to go to him at $5,200, especially with Chris Paul returning. And since you can get some guys in that price tier that are definitely better options, like Dennis Smith, I think is a better option in that price range if you want to play him at shooting guard. I think another guy in that price range we can target is J.J. Redick, 5,100, going up against the Cavs. J.J. Redick's just been playing really well lately. It's a great matchup today against Cleveland, a bad defensive team against a shooting guard. And we saw in their last game against Orlando with Ben Simmons out, J.J. Redick really stepped up in that game, put up 40 DraftKings points, played 33 minutes, had 29 points and 5 rebounds. So if Ben Simmons misses today, we're also going to want to consider J.J. Redick. He definitely gets an uptick when it comes to shots. And I think even if Simmons plays, we can still consider J.J. Redick at just 5,100 in a great matchup against Cleveland. So if you're looking in that price range, I would consider him at 5,100. They're looking for some value plays at shooting guard, some guys that are 5K and under. Courtney Lee's been playing really well lately. The price tag has started to get up there at 4,700. Not the best matchup against Portland. But like I said, he's been playing really well lately in his last 4 games. 26, 37, 37, and 28 DraftKings points. Has seen the minutes get up there as well lately. He's been playing 33, 38, 33 minutes in his last 3 games. Not the best matchup against Portland, but Courtney Lee, with the way he's playing lately, he could probably get 25, close to 30 DK points in this matchup. And that will be hidden cash game value. So if you need a cheap play at shooting guard or small forward, sub 5K, I think you can go to Courtney Lee here at 4,700. And the one value play that I absolutely love at shooting guard today, if injuries fall our way, I think he's a great play. And that's Lance Stevenson, 4,100, going up against Orlando. If Victor Oladipo misses this game today, Lance Stevenson's probably one of the best value plays on the slate. We saw in their last game against Boston in a tough matchup, Lance Stevenson still managed to put up 33 DraftKings points, put up 16 points, 5 assists, and 8 rebounds, and played 36 minutes. And in a much better matchup against the Magic, I think Lance Stevenson, one of the better value plays on this slate. If Victor Oladipo misses, make sure to keep note on that. If we get news on Monday that Oladipo is going to play, then I don't think we want to go to Lance Stevenson here. But if Oladipo is out, Lance Stevenson, 4,100, probably one of the best value plays on the slate. And I think that's it for shooting guard value, guys. Like I said, I record my videos the night before. Kind of hard to find value. Value usually opens up on Monday, the day of. So I'll be sure to tweet out some plays if they open up on my Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. Make sure you guys give me a follow there if you haven't already. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to small forward. All right, so up top at small forward today, we got LeBron, 11,400, going up against the Sixers. Obviously, LeBron is a good play. I'm not going to tell you not to play him. I don't think I'm going to have enough value unless value opens up. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit in LeBron at this price tag. But this dude's just playing so well this year, especially for fantasy. He has shown a ton of upside. We saw it in their last game against Charlotte. Put up 77 DraftKings points, just total crush game. 27 points, 13 assists, 16 rebounds, played 40 minutes. If the game's going to be competitive, which this game should be, LeBron's going to play a ton of minutes. He's going to produce for you fantasy-wise. So he's a good cash game play. He has upside for tournaments. LeBron's a great play every day, no matter who's going up against him, no matter who the opponent is. So if you can find the salary to fit in LeBron, he's obviously a good play. Even though he's really expensive, he's worth that price tag. But looking at some other small forwards that we can target maybe in this mid-tier and in the cheaper end, when I talked about injuries, I don't think I mentioned Kristaps Porzingis. He is also questionable. He did miss on Saturday. Porzingis is out today. Tim Hardaway Jr., another really good play, is 6,700, going up against Portland. Hardaway Jr. is just going to see a ton of usage. It definitely gets an uptick when it comes to shots if Porzingis is out. I believe in one game earlier this year, Hardaway Jr. had like a monster game with Porzingis out. He was out in their game on Saturday. Hardaway Jr. didn't play that well. Only put up 25 DraftKings points, but did play 38 minutes. Even though the price tag's kind of up there, I still think we want to consider THJ today if Porzingis does get ruled out. Like I said, I'm recording this the night before. We don't have that kind of news. Right now, Porzingis is still questionable, but if we get news that he's going to be out, we're going to want to consider THJ at 6,700. And then if we're looking for some small forwards in this 5K range, I talk about him a lot as a cash game play, but Harrison Barnes, 5,500, going up against the Spurs. With no Kawhi Leonard, I think we can still consider Harrison Barnes here, even though he's going up against the Spurs. They're not going to have Kawhi, so don't really have to worry about that tough defensive matchup. And when they played earlier this year, Barnes did have a pretty solid game against the Spurs. Did put up 34 DraftKings points, 16 points, 8 rebounds, just all around solid game. Barnes is always a good cash game play. As long as he's this cheap at 5,500, he's probably going to get you 27, 28, 29, 30 DK points, which is what you want for cash games if you're rostering him at this price tag. So if you need a mid-range, small forward or power forward for your cash games today, always consider Harrison Barnes. Even in a not optimal matchup against the Spurs, I still think he makes sense at his price if you're going to that range, small forward or power forward. And then one really cheap play I did want to mention at small forward. If injuries break our way, I definitely think we're going to want to consider this guy. He's very, very cheap. Well, actually, two guys in this price range. The first guy is Omri Caspi, 3,800. If injuries break our way, KD is out, or even if Steph misses. When KD has been out, Caspi has been getting the start. This is a revenge game for Caspi, going up against the Kings. He did play for the Kings last year. And with KD out, the minutes have been pretty solid for Caspi. He did see 25 minutes in their last game against the Pelicans. KD was out that game. Caspi put up 21 DraftKings points. So if KD misses, if Omri Caspi gets the start today, 3,800 revenge game narrative, definitely can target him. Has cheap price tag. And then the other guy I want to mention as a cheap value play if injuries break our way, Michael Beasley, 3,700, going up against Portland. We saw in their last game on Saturday against Houston, Kristaps Porzingis and Enes Kanter were both out for that game. Michael Beasley played 36 minutes and put up 42 DraftKings points. Just a total crush game, had 30 points, 8 rebounds. So if Kanter and Porzingis are both out today and Michael Beasley gets the start, he is a value play that we're going to want to consider today at 3,700. Anytime this guy gets minutes, he's always going to be a guy we want to consider. Because when he gets minutes, he's going to put up fantasy points. We saw it in that game against Houston. So if Kanter or Porzingis is out and Beasley draws the start again, definitely think we want to consider him at 3,700. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it for small forward value. Let's go ahead and move on to power forward. All right, so at power forward, if you want to pay up at this position, there are some good options. Blake Griffin's going up against the Lakers. We know the Lakers are not a good defensive team. They played at a very fast pace. When these teams faced off earlier this year, Blake did have a really nice game. He put up 53 DraftKings points, 29 points, 12 rebounds, got a double-double when he faced the Lakers earlier this year. So I think if you want to pay up for power forward, you can definitely target Blake. I don't think he's a cash game play because he's sort of been a little inconsistent lately, but Blake has so much upside. He can put up 50, 60 DK points in the spot, which is good tournament value. So if you're going to pay up for power forward, even though Blake's really expensive, it's a great matchup against the Lakers. I think you can definitely consider him in tournaments at 9K. And then if we're looking in that mid-tier at power forward, 6,900, he's power forward and center eligible. Al Horford going up against Detroit, going up against Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond really struggles to defend guys that can spread the floor, that can shoot the three, and Al Horford is one of those guys. He can step out, shoot the three. So Drummond could have some troubles here defending Horford. Drummond's probably going to dominate the boards when it comes to rebounds because Horford's not the best rebounder. But I feel like Drummond might have some trouble defending Horford outside the three-point line. So if we want to go to him at 6,900, he does have a nice price tag on him. I think we can target him in that mid-tier at power forward or center. He's eligible at both positions. And then if we're looking in this mid-tier at power forward, there's some guys here that I talked about earlier, like Harrison Barnes, 5,500. I think he makes sense as a cash game play. Dario Saric, if injuries break our way, is going to be another guy we want to target for value. If Ben Simmons does not play today against Cleveland, we're definitely going to want to consider Dario Saric at 5,200. Their last game against Orlando with Ben Simmons out, Saric played 34 minutes and put up 35 DraftKings points, had 21 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Just an all-around solid game from Sarge. So Ben Simmons is out today. We're going to want to consider Dario Saric as a value play at power forward or center at 5,200. And if we're looking for some guys sub 5K, some really cheap value plays at power forward, Kyle O'Quinn, if injuries break our way, if Porzingis and Kanter, either one of them are both out, Kyle O'Quinn could draw the start. He did draw the start against Houston with Porzingis and Kanter both out. Beasley and O'Quinn started in that game. And O'Quinn played 26 minutes and put up 50 DraftKings points, had 20 points and 15 rebounds, so got the double-double. O'Quinn's another guy that when he gets minutes, he's going to produce for you when it comes to fantasy. So if Enes Kanter, Porzingis, if one of them misses and Kyle O'Quinn draws the start again, we're definitely going to want to consider him at 4K as a value play. And then don't forget the two guys that I mentioned here earlier if injuries break our way. Omri Caspi in the revenge game. If KD's out, Caspi should draw the start again. Could be a value play. We target 3,800. And then if injuries break our way and Michael Beasley draws the start again for the Knicks, we're going to want to consider him as a value play at 3,700. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for power forward. Let's go ahead and move on to center. All right, so at center, up top of this position, we got Joel Embiid, 10,400, really expensive. Definitely think we're only going to target Joel Embiid here if Ben Simmons misses. When Ben Simmons didn't play in their last game against Orlando, Embiid sort of had a solid game, wasn't that great to be honest with you. Only put up 44 DK points, which isn't really that good when you're paying this much for Joel Embiid. Had 18 points, 14 rebounds, only played 29 minutes though. At 10,400, I only think you're going to target Embiid in tournaments. Obviously, he's always a good tournament play. He has a ton of upside, but I don't think it's very likely this Embiid gets 50 to 60 here. I don't think I can reasonably project that from him, and that's what you're going to need in cash games to roster him at this price tag. So just save Joel Embiid for tournaments. Definitely not a guy I'm considering at cash at 10,400. If I'm looking at center today for cash game options, there are definitely some good options in this mid-tier. One guy, Nikola Vucevic, 7,300, going up against Indiana. When these teams just faced off a couple days ago, Vooch did have a very nice game. He put up 49 DraftKings points, sort of resurrected himself. Vooch wasn't playing really well until that game. You saw 35, 30, 22, and then in that game against the Pacers, Vooch put up 49, so definitely played well when he faced the Pacers earlier this year, 25 points, 13 rebounds. So I think if we want to go to him in this mid-tier at center, I think he makes a lot of sense. 7,300. And then a couple more centers I like in this mid-tier. There are two of my 5 plays here. First off, Clint Capella at 7K going up against Brooklyn. We know Brooklyn can defend big, so this is a great spot for Clint Capella. Even though the price tag's kind of up there at 7K, I think if this game stays competitive, even if it's a blowout, I think Capella can still get me 35, 40. He has upside for possibly 50 in this matchup. So he's a great play in my opinion at center today. Even though he's expensive at 7K, this matchup, pretty much the best possible matchup for any center. So definitely think you should be considering Clint Capella. If you're looking at that mid-tier center, I think it makes a lot of sense at 7K today. And then my 5th play, another guy that I like in that mid-tier center, is DeAndre Jordan, 6,700, going up against the Lakers, going up against Brook Lopez. Just a great matchup for DJ. When these teams faced off earlier this year, DJ had a really nice game, 14 points and 24 rebounds, just totally dominated the boards against Brook Lopez at 48 DraftKings points when these teams faced off earlier this year. So we know DeAndre Jordan should dominate the boards in this spot. We know Brook Lopez does not rebound, doesn't like to rebound. So I think Blake Griffin and Jordan are probably going to grab a combined close to 30 rebounds. Both of them could get 15 rebounds apiece in this spot. So going with guys like Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan against a Lakers team that has guys that don't really like to rebound, I think they make a lot of sense, especially DeAndre Jordan at just 6,700. I think he easily pays off this price tag. And if we're looking for some value at center, there are guys that I've talked about at other positions like Sarge, O'Quinn. If injuries break our way, these are guys we want to target. But I think that's pretty much it for center, guys. I think that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. And like I said at the beginning, make sure you check out my 2 NFL videos that I'm going to be uploading on Monday. My recap video and my Week 13 first look at this slate. Make sure you check those videos out. It should be up sometime in Monday afternoon towards Monday night. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Good luck tonight, guys. Peace.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, she shaking fast. Yeah, she dropping slow. What? Yeah, neck on fro. Whoa.